Are you ready? 59.
Where'd you find it?
Let's call this meeting to order. This is Monday, May 17th at 1 p.m. This is a special call meeting. I want to address something about the special call meeting. I know there's been some grumblings amongst these court members of why we have this meeting. Well, I'm going to tell you, we have to stay compliant. And right now, our paper of record only puts out one paper a week. We have to have that submitted the Friday before. It's not like the Daily Times used to when they put a paper out a day. So we're on a timeline. I appreciate you being here. If it's inconvenienced you, I'm sorry, but we have business to do for the county. We do have Magistrate Coomer on Zoom. So if he can't hear you, it's probably because you're not talking into your mic. He's probably going to say, I can't hear you. He's got to be part of this discussion. Moving forward, if you're going to be out of town, vacation, we will accommodate you with Zoom. Court members, we're going to accommodate you. We had a call today about the public. Well, the CDC guidelines down after we announced this meeting. So the public's not invited to come in. We didn't do another announcement. So I apologize. So I just want to clear those things up with you. Let's see. We'll go into roll call.
Jeff Bott.
Here.
Trent Riddle.
Yes, here.
Carl Dickerson.
Here.
Tim Coomer.
Here.
Mark Nolan.
Here.
Kenneth Sargent.
Here.
Billy Houchin.
Here.
Michael Hale.
Here, thank you. All right. We will go into third item. This is authorizing open of new bank accounts. I'll let Jenny explain to you what accounts we need to open.
So right now we have, in the general fund, we have 3 accounts that we want to take out of the general fund into their own separate accounts. It's the LGEA fund, the drug forfeiture fund, and the federal drug forfeiture fund. And we also need to open a new account for, the money that we're going to receive from the state. Yeah, the American Recovery money, we need to open up a separate account for that as well. That's 4 altogether.
So the court has authorized us to open new accounts.
I'll move to open back.
Commissioner Dickerson.
I'll second.
Commissioner Bowman, questions? Roll call vote.
Squire Riddle,
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Hammer. Squire Hammer,
He's trying to reconnect.
Squire
Yeah.
Ball,
Yes.
Squire Sargent,
Yes.
Squire Hatchett.
Yes.
Squire Bott.
Yes.
Judge Hale,
Yes.
Squire Hammer, are you on now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the first reading of ordinance 656 related to the annual budget and appropriations of 21-20 fiscal year. Here's the rules for adoption for the budget ordinance. First, a motion, then a second to adopt the budget ordinance on first reading must be on the floor. Then, if desired, motions to amend are in order. Each motion must specifically state the budget line item to be amended. Each motion to amend will be voted on individually. After all amendments have been offered and voted on, the main motion to adopt the budget ordinance, including all approved amendments, will be voted on. Department heads have been invited to this meeting to answer any questions about their respective departments. We will proceed in the professional manner in all debates and discussion. Each person speaking will confine him or herself to the question immediately before this assembly. Sufficient time will be allowed for each debatable motion. I'm going to ask you to please refrain from calling out individual employees by name. Please refer to them by their position title only. We will begin our discussion with the general fund, then proceed to all other funds. So at this time, I will open the floor for a motion and a second to adopt the first reading of the ordinance of the budget appropriations. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Fox, second by Mr. Houchins. Okay, so you have your budget in front of you. And I'm gonna lean on Master Bots here. We've met several times, kind of give, if you want to, just give the court why we're doing what we're doing today. If you want to, totally up to you.
Okay, well, one reason why we wanted, of course, our committee, budget committee, me, myself, Jeff Fox, Mark Bowman, Billy Houchins, and of course, Jenny, and of course, the judge has been working diligently. We've met with the department heads, some one time, some a couple of times. And what we wanted to do is just get the whole court. This is basically kind of a workshop setting here to where each court member can listen if there's any questions of department heads, so they can understand a little bit more in a little bit more freer time talking in this workshop versus in, I know this is a special call meeting, but a traditional court meeting, we wanted to get just a jump start before our main one coming up next Tuesday to actually vote again on this. So I just wanted, department heads are here today, and we're going to have discussion coming up, and I wanted each court member, besides our committee, to be a part of this because we do have a pretty good increase. I want them to understand what the increase is, what we're trying to do, and our mission here. So that's basically why we're here today. So, and he's got certain time limits, I think, but certainly we want you all to talk. We talk with you a lot, so there shouldn't be a lot of talk. But if the other court members that are not on my committee have questions, certainly we want to hear and get them answered for them. So, Judge, that's basically what we're doing today.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just start with, I'd like to start with the judge executive's budget. I'd like to go right into the road, that way we can cut these two loose, because I know they're involved in some projects, so we'll just go ahead. Jenny, if you want to point out what we've added to this budget, especially the line items. You can, yeah. Jamie, put that PowerPoint up, please. Kind of give you an overview of what I'll be looking at when you go for each budget. Which is, so there's your last year's budget. And that's what out of all the requests from all the departments, that's what the new budget will look like. And that's the increase of the budget, the 4.3. Okay, next. So here's some things that's been added. Obviously, you're going to see accumulated leave time that's been put in each department. That is due to the fact when you have someone that retires and they have vacation time or comp time, that they qualify for, we have to pay them for that. That has never been in the budget. It's always come straight from the general fund. So it's based on whoever the oldest you have in service years versus their salary. And that's sort of how we come up with that number. The county inmate housing, that's something that has never been in. As Barren County, we are responsible for taking care of our county residents. So that's a number that's been plugged in. Obviously, you have your equipment, your mowers. That's the numbers that we plugged. Again, these numbers have never been in the budget. You have your federal grant cares money. That's the money that we were reimbursed from COVID, that we justifiably spent and were reimbursed for. Then there's your seasonal workers, that comes straight out of the general fund. Your seasonal contract labor, direct part. So there's roughly $2 million that's of line items that's just been added and hope to take care of some things in the budget. Next, please. Here's just kind of an overview of what you're going to be looking for today. County attorney, telephone, it's something that we had to put in. The clerk, auditing services, obviously that's probably going to go up. And then we have our clerk had talked about doing some cosmetic things to her office. And one of the largest items is the new election equipment. And I believe that increase is about 183. I can't see that number for the county attorney. That's okay. Go ahead to the next one, and we'll go back to it. Here's kind of what you're looking. Here's kind of what you're looking at with the sheriff. For the added things. So when we go over that, you got the questions for the sheriff. There's some highlights. Next, please. The coroner, and I don't know why these numbers are, Jamie, you can't switch that, can you? Can you take the actual numbers are covered up?
This,
Yeah. You take that away.
I'm trying, hold on. The
If not, we'll just have to
internet's
do it.
lagging.
public won't be able to see that. We can, but is that right, or can they see it?
They should be able to see it. Okay, that's okay, Jamie, just work on it. Yeah, you guys have got a copy of the handout, so. Okay, we'll go back to the judge executives. Okay, great. There you go. Good job. There's the, there you go. The request for coroner, there's some magistrates for training and fringe. Obviously, your maintenance, you're looking at the West Main. Utilities, renewals, repairs, building, this building HVAC. So there's kind of the increase just in maintenance this year. Next, please.
Hold on, I just go back in here.
There's drug task force, there's a new deputy, solid waste. We've redone some things in that. Obviously, Master Bowman will be able to explain that. There's the road, there's the increase in that. Again, we'll just to talk about all this. Next, please. Communication equipment, drug testing for the detention center. Next, please. The rec, that's basically what you're looking at. Increases. Okay, other increases that's going to hit us this year. That's the bits. That is, again, that's subject to change. The veterinary services. Now, I've had a lot of questions about the horses. I will explain the horses in the next meeting. But what we have to keep in mind here is we've had calls about animals that no one is taking ownership in. Well, once we do the legwork on no one's taking ownership in the animals, they become the property of Barren County. And then an investigation, there's a time limit on the investigation, but we still have to take care of them, maintain them. So we need to keep something in there for that. We just got a call the other day about 2 federal Mustangs. So, you know, we don't know. Health department contribution, that's how much it's gone up this year. That is based on our tax revenue, property tax revenue going up. So that number is going to continue to climb at 2.25%. The burials, again, that's something that we're a lot of indigent folks that we're having to take care of. And that was you, Jim.
Basically, this line is very subject to change, depending on our income and expenses. So at the end of balancing the budget, that number could possibly change up or down.
What else you got, Jamie? Here's an increase in the high school mowing. The ABC reserve for transfers, that's about what we collect. That could go either way. We just don't know. The ALC renewals and repairs, the safe house reserves for transfers, and the federal drug court. Back up. And the grant. We need to get into the grant. Back up. Now you're going forward. You're going forward. Go. A little more. Back up. Oop, stop right there. Next, right there. The CDBG grant, we have to include that in our budget. That is for the demolition of the old jail. So that has to be in the grant and the budget this year. Next, please. Here is another thing that we talked about in committee, bringing everyone up that's not making $15 an hour to make $15 an hour. I'm not sure what's going on there. There you go. There's what that looks like. There's the fringe on the raises. There is what the fringe will cost with raises and without raises. Next. There's what the retirement looks like, hazardous, non-hazardous, retirement with the raises, retirement without the raises. And here's our, some of our large contributions as well. PBA, we're bound by statute to give them that. Here's our volunteer fire department contributions. Our ambulance service, we just kind of keep that just in case of an emergency. So far, they've operated within their means. There's your bits, your force protections, something we have to have in there. Again, that is your total contribution to the Barren River Health Department. 2015, that was roughly 300,000 or like maybe 280. That's how much it's went up since then. Community medical care contribution, it does go for a good cause. Next, please. Soil Conservation District, we have to give them that money. It's their budget. Senior Citizens Contribution, Hope Harbor, YMCA for indigent children, Child Advocacy, Junior Achievement, the ARC of Barren County, and then Soccer Corporation, and that is a four-way split, 17-5. And here's some of the other things that we basically got to have. So there's what you're looking at there. That's pretty much for each department. Jenny?
The ambulance service, this building, we get reimbursed for that, so, but it still has to be in there. And then the bond for the Sampson Street Jail. And the total, that 1,000,006 is the total of the debt service and the contributions altogether.
Right now, the ambulance service is paying for that bill. I think there's like 7 years left on it. Next, please. Oh, okay. Okay, let's just start with the judge executives. Any questions on the judge executives?
Judge, I have a question. It's for all every group. I've got an executive summary here, done by the Grant County Economic Authority. The entry-level production technician average in Barren County for 11 interviews is $13 an hour. Skilled operator starting wage in Barren County is $15 an hour. A maintenance technician starting wage in Barren County is $20 an hour. Material handler starting wage is $13 an hour. And a forklift operator starting wage is $14 an hour. I guess I want people to make a living wage. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I do think it's kind of tough for the people that are paying the bills. With our tax money, you have to turn around and compete against the county for work. And so just thought I'd throw that out there, and it goes across every $15 an hour. I don't know, does that start from the get-go?
That's proposed.
So I guess the point that I'm trying to make, and I've said this numerous times since I've been on this court, one, it's not the courts. It's not, we micromanage, we determine what somebody pays their people. I'm not in favor, I'm in favor of giving raises, but I think the $15 is a little much. I don't know how the others feel about it, but I would make a motion to change that, just give a percentage raise across the board for every department. And then the head of those departments determine who they want to give the money to. But I know, looking at all you guys, and I'll ask all of you if you want me to, or y'all can speak up. There's some people that work for you work more than others. Am I wrong? So if this court says we're going to pay everybody $15 an hour, or if you get somebody that's not worth their salt, you pay them $15 an hour, same guy that's been there 4 or 5 years, and he's making $15 an hour. So I just have a problem with that. How we resolve that, I don't know. I can make a motion to change it, but we're going to change it to. Go ahead.
Was that a motion though?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we
Can
change
we,
it to something.
Percentage.
can we discuss?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay,
You
I'll make a
want
motion, to
percentage?
change it to 3%.
Okay, we have three, do I have a second?
I second.
Second, by Mr. Kerr, now
Yeah.
discussion.
Oh, I was just, Carl, we also talked, you know, what you're, as far as, if we looked at the 15 and we looked at that number, which you can kind of look back and see that total number, and then dividing it up and possibly giving, are you suggesting maybe that we go something?
I'm not
If we-
suggesting-
If we do 3%, that's just barely keeping up, and that's not, I don't think the department heads are here, they're definitely wanting some kind of increase, but 3% is probably not gonna keep the quality people that they're gonna need. I agree with what you're saying also, I see your point, we're just trying to start somewhere, and this is a discussion time, but if we just do 3%, in my opinion, and I think Billy and Mark's on there, that the thing, the cost of living is just not gonna cut it this year for them to have the quality and do it. That's just what we were thinking. We looked at the $15 and coming and starting that, but that's, you're thinking that your total in your mind is 3% is all you want to get. So you feel comfortable.
Well, no, what I did is, give the department head 3%, if they want to give somebody $15 an hour to start out with, if they're worth that, they can make those calls. I just don't want to, the fiscal court doesn't need to micromanage everybody's department. I guess, I don't need to be telling Barren, I don't need to be telling Scott, I don't need to be telling the sheriff, I don't need to be telling you how much you pay for. Set on the scope. We need to give you guys the money, or Mike, we need to give you guys the money, and then y'all determine, the performance. That's all I'm saying. Now, is 3% enough? That's what I made motion for, but when you add extras, retirement, and all the extras, you're adding another 25, 30%, or maybe when you figure work comp.
But Jenny has that number. Jenny, what's the 3%? We got that number on that one page. If we just done the 3%. Which page was that?
Well, that's not on.
It's not on there, okay.
No.
I guess, what is the add-on? If I pay somebody $1 an hour, or I pay somebody $1 in the county government, how many cents do I pay? Retirement, work comp, social security,
About 90 cents,
how much?
about 9,
You pay $90 plus 90,
probably. More likely.
so about 60% increase in your payroll right there.
And what's another thing that we talked about, if we brought everyone that's not making 15 up to 15, and the rest of the employees that's making 15 and over, just give them the 3%. Or we do this in phases, we bring folks up to 15 that's not making it, and then in 6 months, we evaluate, and then we take care of the ones that's making over 15. Just to see where we're at, that way it wouldn't be astronomical.
Well, and you have, I think if you start a guy fresh out of the deal, if you know anything about it, you hire $15 an hour, then is that really fair if the guy's been working for 6 months and making $15 an hour? Well, you don't know how this guy's going, or this person's going to perform, this person's going to perform. Let me know. And I'm looking at the amount of unemployment we pay in, we don't ever lay too many people off. We pay $2,000 unemployment to each department every year, so you're not laying too many people off. So the point I'm trying to make is the people that pay the bills for this county aren't making the kind of wages, not getting the kind of benefits that a county employee gets. And they're paying the bills.
Carl, I went down when y'all was working like you, and they got a sign back there that says, the night manager starts at $15 an hour. And he doesn't do anything, I guess it's overseas. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna do it either, but
One thing we talked about, Carl, I don't know any way that we can do this when you're dealing with where we're at as a committee and in a court, that no way can be fair when you're talking about raises and doing this. There's just no way you can do the 15, it's not fair, we can do the other. We just gotta we just came up with that proposal. We wanna know what can be fair, but I don't know if there is a fair way or not. 100% fair way, and we wanna be fair, but I don't know that you can be fair when you're trying to put this in a budget, and do we let the department head decide? Yeah, I agree with that. And some may not want to do that because they're gonna put pressure on them. So what do you do?
Well, and you, this S comes to mind, you've got people that have started working here, and I saw that we got substantial raises, that deserve those raises. I saw them in there. And they deserve those raises. Well, you're giving some people more than, they're making, it should be more than $15 an hour, they're getting a substantial raise, but they deserve those raises, it's not undeserved. So when you get in a position where you got to come up with $50 straight across, I just think it has to be on a percentage basis, and I just think that I was looking, the judge executive's office didn't go up, the road department, I don't think their payroll went up. The sheriff, some, you're at the deputy, yours went up some. I know the recreation department went up some because he was off last year and had that help coming in and parent. So you really got two departments. Payroll too. Rise pretty from what I looked at. So yeah, I don't know how you have. Before we've always given percentage. I've always said let the department head have.
Hey, Mark, you're on our committee that we met several times. I need you to speak up here just a little bit on your, I don't want to be just the only one talking.
Well, first of all, I think our comments are centered around the $15 per hour starting rate, or if they're not making $15, bring them up to $15. What is our starting pay across the county now? That part. Well, okay, so you got to ask yourself the question: is that competitive? And I think by the statistic you gave, Carl, it's not. Now, it's 15. Is that the magic number? I don't know. But we have got to be competitive in Barren County. And because we got to have good employees in every department that we've got. I mean, county clerk needs them, general needs them, road department, sheriff, everybody needs them. So I think that's what we're trying to get to. Would you agree, Carl, with that statement that 12 is not where it should be?
All I'm going by, and I agree with that, $12 an hour is probably entry level guy, $12 an hour, and then if they work with you a couple of weeks to find their work and solve, they need a raise right away. I understand, but a top out raise on a production technician after 23 months is $16.55 in Barren County. Entry level production technician. After you've been there for 2 years, it's $16 top out. A skilled operator, $20 tops. Material handler, 16 tops. There for 15 months. Maintenance technician, $26 an hour, 30 months before they get that level. Forklift operator, $17 an hour after 17 months. I think each individual department head needs to come up with some kind of formula and reward people that are doing a good job. That's all it is. How good is a man worth $15, $17, $18 an hour paying? If he worked 12, he's what you need paying too. And when I was speaking about raises, I saw them here for certain people. They're well deserved, I'm sure. Some are 20%, some are 10%. And I'm sure they're well deserved. But when people are needing workers in this county and they can't hire them, they're paying $12 an hour, then the county comes up and they'll pay 15. I just think it's in the bad signal. That's why I said the 15.
Any other questions?
So I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in that too. See what you're talking about, Paul. What I see it from a little different perspective is that you got a guy here, I don't know if we have or lady or whatever, you got personnel here that started out a few years ago when the wages was $10 an hour, and they've been good employees, and they've done their due diligence, and they've clawed their way up to $15 an hour, and they know everything about their department there is to know. Now, you're gonna hire somebody out of high school, you're gonna pay them $15 an hour, but you're only gonna get this person $15.45. Now, I would be really upset if I was that point. And I don't think that the sheriffs, and I'm not picking on the sheriff, I'm not picking on that, but I think that if you're working as a sheriff's deputy and you make a mistake, you go to prison the rest of your life. If you're working in Elena's office and you mess up a piece of paper, you start over. There's no comparison between two pay scales. The same way with the road department. If you got a driver out there breaks the city up, not only has he created liability for the county, but he can go to for the rest of his life. It's his fault. So I'm with you on, I don't know where that magic line is, but you can't pay the sheriff's people the same as you pay a runner.
And that's what I just said.
You have to leave it somewhat up to that department to make that call, because they're not a people back.
Each individual department needs to make a call. So, you're saying we're gonna pay about $15 an hour to start out. Is there a sweet spot there somewhere?
There is.
Is 3% a sweet spot, or I don't know.
I think that's what we're trying to do here, Carl, you know.
I think.
I mean, you made a good point earlier, and I think when you ask the department heads, you know, when you have a vacancy at $12 an hour, how many applications do you receive? I mean,
Jackson, sir.
yes, sir.
Right now, I have vacancies and I don't have any applicants.
Nobody will, I mean, people laugh when I tell them it's $12, they're like, no.
I started 15 for a certified UCJT deputy, and the applications I have, I can count on one hand.
And that's 15.
$15.
15.
For the EOCJ Department of Criminal Justice Training.
Well, I just lost a guy for $22. So, I mean, it's not just the government, it's more shoulders. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I understand what I'm saying, we are starting to bid against each other. I mean, where does it end, you know?
And we lost a guy in the county. That's fine.
We're gonna keep you.
Yeah, I know, I'm standing pretty good.
Come on.
He could work in front, but, you know, everybody needs help.
But
You cannot go anywhere and not really, need help.
Here's an
You
example.
don't have any application. You don't have any.
Here's an example for you all. Of course, the road fund, it's a separate fund, and we're gonna carry over $1.5 million. We're gonna carry. So when they come out of the CDL school, if we're not offering them $15 an hour, they're gonna go drive for 17, 18, 19 somewhere else. But 15 at least keeps them home, and they don't have to travel somewhere else and work. So that's sort of forcing our hand to pay 15. Of course, they're coming to us already certified, which is even better. So just to kind of give you an example, I mean, we're going to have to pay that from now on, just to get those drivers.
We got to open up a truck driver now, we can't feel it. He makes more than $15 an hour. He gets 25% of his load back. That's a whole lot. So, yeah, we don't get anybody. We haven't got anybody to apply for it. We're just not. County, everybody.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, Carl, I mean, interrupt. So this discussion is, Barren County has to be competitive. We have established we are not. Okay, we know 12 is not competitive. But you just, the discussion I just heard there it seems like 15 is probably where we need to be. Am I wrong, way I understood you there?
Do I, we can agree to disagree. I don't think 15 start wage before we get there because of the business atmosphere. Start wage $15 an hour.
Can we do different departments start at, like in the road department, start at $15 an hour and another department start at still 12 and 13? Do we have to do it county, like every department wide?
Well, we, as a court, we'd have to vote on that. I don't know how much fairness it would be, but, you know, we can vote on individual departments starting. But I don't know whether you all want to take that action or not.
Lena puts it. You can start with the employee, if you have, any way you want to start, where would you start? Randy walking in the office, or sheriff, somebody walking in your office, where would you start? I need somebody to say it. Somebody do paper, where would you start? Where would you think would be a fair starting point for somebody?
Did he ask you?
He said both. He said
Oh, we'll come
both.
up to the microphone, guys.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, that's
I don't know, I mean,
Is that on? Okay.
it's on, is it on? No.
All right.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Well, and of course, wages is something that I've discussed the whole time, because I didn't think $12 was nearly enough. And retention is the problem that I have, and I think that's probably the problem that other county officials have in their departments, I would think. Because, and Trent, I know you didn't mean it, but I mean, we do have to do more than tear a piece of paper. Memorize the codes. If you come into my office to transfer something, or the county clerk's office, not my office, to transfer something, if you get a new deputy that hasn't memorized all those codes and doesn't know how to go forward and backwards and this, I need to get me, it's gonna take me a few minutes longer and you're gonna be like, I got to go.
Right.
So it is a skilled, labor, and I lose deputies all the time to other places, probably 14.50 to 15 would be, I mean, I wouldn't go lower than 13.50 starting pay.
That we want you to.
14.50, is 13.50 to 14.50 starting.
Sheriff, would you come up and speak?
15.
Well, hang on, you guys.
This is all, if I remember the question, just as you.
This is somebody working in the office.
Right.
Some you replace, just one.
Entry level.
Entry level.
Entry level, start them out. Okay.
Not deputy, entry level is not.
Okay, that's what we gotta clarify. We're not talking about, certified,
Unskilled entry level.
civilian work. I would have to, folks, I'm still gonna have to lean towards that 15, because I've talked to too many agencies that's really competing, and the job market's just like you said, Squire, it's hard to get somebody.
For everybody.
Yeah, it is everybody.
That's my point. We're having our businesses that pay the taxes, having to compete against the people they're hiring. And that's the point.
Why we're paying taxes too.
I know, but
Our employees.
I know they do. Nothing prepared for people out here. Community.
Well, one thing you gotta think about too is the benefits. You do have several more fringe benefits for the county. You get 30, how many days off a year do you get? 30 something? Is that right?
Accumulated sick time is, 4 hours a month, is that right, ladies? And then 8 hours accumulated vacation a month, is that correct?
96 hours vacation and 48 hours sick a year.
In your holidays.
And then what is it, 12 holidays?
10.
2, 10,
Birthday. That's
and your birthday.
Yeah. So really, it's not really comparing an apple to an apple there. That's kind of what I had used that.
That's how many days off?
The young employees are not looking at it.
No, they don't.
This vacation, they're not looking at that.
You're exactly right.
They want money.
They won't
You're
know.
exactly right. You
That's
know the
okay.
benefit.
Just to let y'all know, I've got teenagers, and I've got teenagers that's leaving, going to other places that's paying them more money than I can out the park. I
Right.
mean, I start them out lower wage. We give them an increase each year they come back. But if, say I've got one that's been there 2 years making $57.75, they're going over here to Yogi Barren places making $10 and $11 an hour and probably doing less. So I just, it's kids too that's griping about it. I mean, that wants more money. So I'm just saying, and teenage kids, the biggest thing helps me keep the ones I've got is we've got a lot of athletes that play sports and things, and we're lenient with schedules, puts more work on us. But that helps us at least keep people there, and we got to hire larger numbers of people just to keep them there. So it's not just adults. These kids are catching on too. So on
When you
pay.
start your season there.
And at the beginning of the year, they start out at minimum wage. If it's the first time they've been there, and then they get an increase each year of 25 cents for every year there. And then if we see that we can bump them up, they're doing more work and introducing themselves into more at the park, we bump them up as we go. We try to take the best care of them as we can.
So what was the motion again?
The motion on the table was for 3% across the board.
3% across the board, and did that say we're gonna let the, department heads make judgment calls, or was that?
Now it's just for 3% across the board.
3% across the board. Call the question, let's vote. How much that cost?
Roll call vote.
Squire Dickerson,
Yes.
Squire Coomer,
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
Read the motion again, please.
It is for a 3% across the board. Motion was for 3% across the board.
I'm sorry. So the department heads can adjust that. They can't.
No, it's just 3% across the board. That's all it is.
I'd like to rescind my vote then. I thought the department heads were going to be able to determine who got it.
Squire Coomer, rescind to a no,
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
No.
Squire Sargent,
Yes.
Squire Houchin,
No.
Squire Bob,
No.
Squire Riddle,
No.
Judge Taylor.
No.
It fails. Okay, we'll keep on. Any other questions of the judge executive's budget? And we can go line item for line item if you guys want to. Okay. And then,
I had a question about the Highland game, and I can't remember what that was.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay,
Yeah, this is just,
this wasn't yours.
no,
Okay.
no. So next I'm gonna go to the road. That way they can leave and get back to what they were doing. If y'all wanna, I sent you, Susan sent you an email of the increases. And it's just kind of some projections that we made. I'm hoping everyone received that email plus the line item number. And hopes it would help you with any questions that you may have today. We'll start from the top. Any questions today? Page 12. Start on page 12. Thank you.
Judge, the road supervisor, you're still.
That's correct.
Since you have money budgeted, are you planning on hiring somebody?
Not in the next few months, no.
I'm ready for management style, that's great.
That's correct. And doing a great job. Agree.
No, amen, that.
That's all.
So we're looking at. $125,000.
For the increase is what we asked for. I think it was around 100.
Is it in addition to this 3,362 number?
Yeah, where's it? Now, all the requests are built into this budget. We all we did was pinpoint.
Okay,
the
we
request.
broke them down on
Yeah.
their email.
And the line item.
Okay, so that's not additional to this?
No,
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 that's just the changes.
Just for us to see,
yes,
see
An
why.
explanation.
that way you know where the change is,
You just put that.
where the change is and why we made the change. So,
Increasing budget $286,000.
I don't have the paper you're looking at.
I got, you talking about what I talked to you about?
I think they're looking at the budget,
Okay, I am.
the one that Jeannie handed out.
I have a question. On that first email, the 270 operations manager.
Yeah.
So the amount needs to be changed to current salary. That may not, what's the new budget amount?
That was the one that, that was from years ago, because we hadn't had an operations manager till now.
Hmm.
So that salary is different than what it was showing on our old budget.
So the budget that we're reviewing today, that's an okay number, is that what you're saying?
I'm not looking at the same paper y'all are, so,
You need this one here.
no.
the road is 139, 100 increase.
I'd have to look at the number you got to see.
Road's how much? 139, 100.
So, Jenny, what page do I find the total for the road department?
13, I think. 13.
Oh, I've got it. All right.
Well, part of that is including the fringe benefits on that 286. I'm just, what I put on there is what they asked for increases. The actual number in the bottom line is not going to equal that 139.
The two bottom lines are, there's $286,000 here.
Exactly.
Two bottom lines.
Right. They're not going to equal that 139,000. I'm telling you that the 139 are the increases that they requested. That doesn't include the raises or anything. So that $200,000 amount you have includes raises and fringe benefits.
It's the bottom line, right?
Yes, but it doesn't
If
include that
it was
$139.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to equal that $139 that he's talking about, $139,000.
139, you want.
Kind of follow it.
I was just letting you know we need to go higher on our rock or operating fuel, culverts, you know, for what we're seeing that we're gonna have to replace. I think we broke the fuel down where we're at, 'cause we're running more equipment now, so.
Yeah, on those papers that I sent, I've got a totals of different costs that we've, spent in, like gas from what we started at and what we're paying now. And we're starting to see some of the increases. It was, we talking about upping it another, I know on the original, we was gonna do 100, and we were talking about going up some more
On which one?
on the fuel.
This is already figured in the budget. What you said,
What we've used so
Yeah.
far,
yeah.
yeah, the amounts that I sent you is what we're standing at right now. But I know the first week we wanted to increase it some for the new budget, but I think we're gonna have to increase it a little bit more because of the cost and the more we're using.
Talking about everything, crushed stone and all that.
So you think the operating fuel will be more than 100,000?
Well,
Only 42,000 last year.
we're so far from what I figured, we're sitting on 80% right now, and that's not counting what we're gonna use in May, and what we're gonna use in June. So, yeah,
So that's why we talked about upping it a little bit more to make sure.
So you're on third.
So in the current proposed, we have how much budgeted? 100.
Mhm.
I'm gonna propose that we raise that to 125. Make an amendment to raise that to 125. That's be my motion on the operating fuel.
25,000.
Yes, from 100 to 125.
I'll second that.
Questions? Roll call vote.
Sparkhammer, Spark Bowman,
Yes.
Spark Sargent,
Yes.
Spark Hutchins.
Yes.
Spark Watts.
Yes.
Spark Riddle.
Yes.
Spark Dickerson.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes.
Spark Humor,
Yes.
your vote on that motion, please.
I'm sorry.
To increase the fuel operating budget to 125.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Any other amendments within the transportation? Talk about
Do you have any more, Judge? You're the road supervisor.
And I guess I'll go back to Master Riddle's question about the road supervisor. Once we get the maximum number of people I want to put in place, which is 20, since we're paying now, and we figure out what we truly need to pay everyone, I want to keep that salary there and not fill that position until I know, that we have enough money in the kitty. So I'm going to keep that open, as you say. I mean, Scott's doing a great job. Susan's doing, Jamie, the whole department's doing a great job. So I don't want to mess a good thing up. Okay, we can move on to, thank you all. Thank you, guys. We can move on to the next one, which is the county clerk. Jenny, what's the reason for that one?
I know, it's so long. 9/1/2010. One,
Page 1.
Oh,
Yes, that's one. Say one in the back.
page 1, the last line.
Yeah.
It's on my notes.
So we gave you an overview of some of the increases, which obviously the audits, and we've got, I think one of the largest one would be the new election equipment.
Yes.
So if you want to speak a little bit about that, or if they got questions about it.
I do, so our current election equipment, our e-scans, which we refer to sometimes as the black trash cans, where if you come and vote in person, you scan your ballot into that machine. We currently have 27 of those, and they were purchased in May of 2009. So they're around 12 years old right now. The e-slates, we have 27 of those. Those are our handicap voting machines. We are required to have those, and they were purchased in October of 2005, so they're approximately 16 years old. I will say those machines do not produce a paper ballot. The data is stored on a computer. So one of the great benefits of purchasing the new equipment, and there's a couple other things we can talk about, but one of the great benefits is the new handicap machines do produce a paper ballot that the individual will then scan into a voting machine just like everyone else, and we will have 100% paper trail in Barren County with those machines. And with everything going on in the election world today, I highly recommend having 100% paper ballots. The proposed proposed, and I guess another thing, we haven't 100% decided, the Barren County Board of Elections has not decided, but under the House Bill 574 that was just passed by the legislators, it does give the local board of elections the authority to decide on polling centers instead of precincts. We will be required to report precinct numbers, but we are not required to have 25 precincts like we currently do, plus the one for absentees. That would be a huge cost savings for our county. We're working, I feel like the people of Barren County enjoy polling centers. We were kind of forced into them last year, but at the end, we go back and look at it. I do think they work well. And in order to buy new equipment, it would be a huge savings. So we're looking at the estimate that I have to purchase the new equipment, $5,127. If we bought for all precincts, you're looking at around $330,000. So that's a big saving. I do think that we will stick with polling centers from our most recent county board of elections meeting. We're just trying to decide, do we stick with 3 polling centers plus absentee voting location, or will we try to add in another location, a 4th one? And that's kind of just where we're at.
You make a voting period longer.
So in this new legislation, it's a little off subject, but the new legislation actually cuts it to 3 days. So the county clerks across Friday and Saturday election day, anyone who wants to vote early will be able to vote early. That will possibly not, because we'll have to run absentee voting in person like. So we'll have to set up, we'll have to have poll workers. I don't know. I don't think. I think about that because if you think, I think here in Barren County, we can, it is a countywide election next time. This time, for example, we voted over 11,000 people in person in the 3. In the last countywide election, only 15,400 voted in person, total, votes total. So, I mean, we're not going to probably want 11,000 vote early in a countywide election. But 3 days is a very short time. Absentee voting.
Okay, so, Jenny, let me ask you this, that those, we got the numbers on that new equipment. Did we get the numbers on, because we don't have any numbers on that. Do we have numbers on new equipment?
New equipment, $175,127. So there'll be money to increase that line item. Well, they will give us, and they didn't give me a number, we're going to trade in our old equipment. And I need to tell y'all, the lids on the old equipment, so our equipment's stored at the county barn. We went out there, we have to go inspect the equipment every year before, inspect it before elections. Those lids are not wanted. We went to open a machine during the last election, and the lock, so the door, that we have to seal, once we unlock it and take the stuff out and hook it up, the lock just fell off. Barren County Hospital, the lock just falls off the equipment. I mean, it's got a lot of wear and tear. We have serviced it and serviced it. They're not making parts for these machines anymore. So, and we can't, and the other thing, you can't just like phase in the purchases, so you can't buy half of what you need and then go and buy the other half because the machines don't work together.
So you don't know what they give us for the whole. At 170 plugged in here.
I would think, surely they
Yeah.
give us 5.
Well, I think we talked about 168.5 and we plugged in 170, just.
Okay, I see. That's if we, and you know what, this is if we have the separate printer, and I'm kind of, yeah, so 169,337 is if we buy the one, that the printer is attached to the equipment.
Okay. Well, we plugged in 170.
I will work with
Yeah.
170. We'll work with
Yeah.
Barren to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Any other questions as it relates to? Any other changes, amendments?
I want to say one thing, and a lot of the other department is that, they didn't ask a lot. I mean, we're gonna have, trying to do some flooring down there. It's not her fault that she has to have new voting machines, and of course, she would like to see some raises, and all department heads would like to see raises, but they didn't come and really demand a bunch for it that wasn't in our committee, so I thank them for that. So what
We
we're
don't have
trying
to have
to
that
do is
one. We just have to.
make sure that they're gonna get that. They would really like to see some pain, and they didn't come and pound us on the head on that, but we're trying to do our part to make that happen, and they didn't come. They just asked for a little bit like her department, a little bit of flooring, and it's not her fault on $170,000 of equipment that she's gonna have to have. So thank you for that.
Thank you all. And I will say on the audit, on our audit, we had another good audit this time, so I was real happy about that. I will be eligible next year for the short audit, which is a cost savings. The auditor said that they would have to talk with them to decide, because I do have a new bookkeeper. My bookkeeper, 25 plus years retired. So they may have me do one more long audit just because I got a new bookkeeper, but I was real excited about that. That will be a cost savings. And they were so delayed on coming to do our exit. That's why we had to have this year's fee plus next year. That's we will be saving some money very soon.
I have one question. We talked about, something you asked for tile and paint. I don't have quotes or anything on that.
I bought the paint last time. Can you look back to see what that was?
I don't have that.
Okay, I didn't bring it up here with me. I have it. I'll run down there and grab it. I feel like off the top of my head, was it 3,000? The tile, he came and measured, but he didn't ever get back to me. He said it would be a few days, and it just kind of slipped my mind.
We had 12 and the renewals and repairs for that. That's what we budgeted.
12,000.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the tile waiting. It's just that carpet. I was just going by the, if I don't know what it costs to do the tile, but if it allows us to paint the walls, I would be just fine with that. It's behind the counters and all.
You can lay it, sound been laid.
No, so no. So last year they came and laid the tile out in the front, in front of the counter, but behind the counter, that's still the original carpet, just like up here, except, of course, we got a lot of traffic and there's a lot of stains. I mean, I've tried to clean sometimes, but I'm obviously vacuuming it, but I can't get those stains up. I have it clean.
Well, as long as there's nothing comes up on your renewals and repairs, there's 12 plugged in, so we just have to watch that. I don't know if there's anything else that you.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I do have to buy I'm gonna have to buy some chairs. I don't know how much those are. I haven't even looked yet, but I knew I would have office furniture in there. I've got that already in the budget.
Because all of your guards were CARES money, you paid that with CARES money, so.
Yeah. Thank you. That has been great. I mean, that has saved us so much. I think we just definitely needed that.
Yes,
The glass.
for sure.
It has really helped the girls a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Any other questions?
And I know that some of y'all weren't here, but I just want to say the storage fee that we're going to turn over, it's new money that started, it's not new money, it's a new fee that we get to keep 100% of it. Stays right here in Barren County that was passed in legislation in 19. So January 1 of 2020 is the first year that we got to see that. So every document that we report in Barren County, we get a $10 fee that stays here in our county. And right now, from July 1st of 20 to the 30th of April, we've collected $88,440. That's just money that's staying right here that we didn't have before. And so we're hoping to get that. We'll be between 90 and 100,000 by the end of the fiscal year with that new fee.
Deal. Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thanks.
All right, we'll move on to the sheriffs. Any questions with the sheriff? And also just a reminder, we plugged in that accumulated leave time, it is what it is, just so we can better, checks and balances with that. Any questions, changes? Yes. go ahead.
Sheriff King, you had 125,000 cars, automobiles, I think that's correct. And are you gonna put the time new one, or are you gonna continue doing what we've been doing?
I may have to yield smart lots a little bit on that because there was a lot of discussion between the, to answer your question, pretty specifically, plan on doing the way we've been doing it. There was some adjustments made to the budget, either, both Mr. Bowman or Mr. Fox or Jimmy, the line item there. The discussion about putting the previous line item from years past. So therefore, there was some adjustments made, but yes, to answer your question quite specifically, we plan on doing it.
The program's working out well.
Corey, I'm not sure how we would proceed with this. Do I need to go line item by line item?
I've got questions for you, because they've had the budget, so if there's any other questions, let's go through the increases. We got increases, obviously fuel, take up the fuel because it is on the rise. The rest of them are just small. Question for the sheriff. Discussion with the sheriff. Good, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep moving.
Is it good? No.
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit. I did overlook the county attorney. That'll be on page 1. It's just a few things. She is joining us today. I think she's in court also. There's not really a whole lot to that. The one thing I do want to point out is when we go to build back the child support office, just a suggestion, don't know, like you guys think about it. When we bid that out, I would like to pay for that out of reserves. And then when the state
Yeah, right there, right now. Don't let him all the way out. I got to get another bull. Can you just hold him?
When we go to build this, I'd like to build it out of reserves. Let the state build the reserves back up as they lease it. That way we wouldn't have to budget it and drive our budget up even higher because we don't know what those numbers are going to be. So I don't know. I'd like to hear your all thoughts on that.
On the building itself, or just how to handle it?
Just how we're going to handle the management. You got thoughts on the building itself?
Yeah, but I don't think that has to be time talking about. How long you got that from the start of it?
So you're gonna take it out of what,
Reserves.
yeah.
Since we don't know right what that number is. Correct.
That's where it's gonna have to come in,
Yeah.
in a sense, correct?
That's correct.
The state pays the rent now. Down here.
That's correct.
What is that rent?
I'm going to say 16, 18 months. That may be a little high to Carl. Okay, let's move on.
This corner,
Yes,
page 2, closer to the bottom.
be the corner. The only thing he had asked was the 500 in renewals and repairs. That was his only request. And that may just, I think that was just because his cars get a little age on it. But other than that, it was good with the questions we want to get to the corner. Hearing none, let's move on. I guess next would be the magistrates. Budgeted the same, unless you guys want to give yourself a raise.
We need one.
I think anybody's been here longer than 16 years deserves an extra $1,000.
I do too.
Billy got interested.
I haven't been here that long, but I'll let it on.
There's only one way to do that, and that's with the motion, the second, the vote.
Yeah, just play it. Have a little fun.
The magistrate's just like everybody, every other position, you're gonna call on new people to do this, you're gonna have to increase the wages at some point in time if you want people to show up for the job. I like magistrates to have a raise in, how many years has it been?
16, I know.
16? Yeah. So that's kind of getting stretched out there. I'm not gonna make a motion, I don't want to raise. I just love to be here.
I'm glad you're here.
Especially in the middle of the day. I really like coming in the middle of the day.
Who is that? Somebody been talking, ain't it?
We like having you when business hours are open.
Yeah, that's where I like to.
Get your 10 been there for a while.
Yeah.
So no action on the magistrates, from the magistrates. No.
We can't do that.
Okay, we'll go to emergency management. There is no change in emergency management. No change at all. Are there any questions? Okay. We'll go to solid waste. There is a 101,000 request increase. I did recently promote Jamie to this position. So we with a line item.
On page 8 at the very bottom.
It's 5212. Line item 5212. We'll be taking that out. Yeah, taking the assistant out. Strike from the budget. Yes, and I would like to make a motion for 35 to be put in for the solid waste coordinator.
Also,
Questions? Roll call vote.
Square Bowman,
Yes.
Square Sargent,
yes.
Square House,
Yes.
Square Botts,
Yes.
Square Riddle,
Yes.
Square Dickerson,
Yes.
Square Fillmore,
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes, thank you. The other is dumpster rental and contract trash cleanup. I will yield to Magistrate Bowman on this for explanation.
What we've done with solid waste, we've added some lines to their budget. The 100,000 breaks down. We get a litter abatement grant. It's about $55,000. So 10,000 of that is it's trash for cash pickup. $10,000 of that is contract pickup trash. And then also, we're gonna, so that's, the grant comes in at 55. So we're gonna be spending the bulk of that money that we get, so we're reimbursed, say, 55,000. So we just felt like we had to concentrate more on getting this trash picked up, because if you drive around the county, I mean, you see trash everywhere. So, and I know I've received calls, and some of you guys have too, about that. So, Jamie, what was some other breakdown on this? If you could help me here a little bit. Jamie, still with us?
Yes. Say that one more time, please.
Okay, we're doing $10,000 trash for cash,
Mm-hmm.
right? $10,000 contract. In other words, you could contract people to pick up trash, right?
Who's coming around?
Oh. There you are.
So I
Okay.
checked here. So you said the trash for cash.
Right, the trash for cash, and then you're doing some contracts for people or groups to come in and pick up trash, right?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the trash for cash. We did put out there to try and get some people hired for a crew. I only got one applicant.
Okay.
So that didn't.
all right. And then also, we're looking at maybe, Judge, you may have to help me here. So we're looking at maybe the other 45,000, putting that into picking up trash countywide, correct?
Correct.
And it would be in the solid waste budget.
Correct.
Correct. And so, and the litter vapor grant is 55,000. Right?
That's a yearly grant.
Zero. Okay. So between the grant at 55 and then putting 45,000 in there for us, we have to go to the solid waste budget to pick up trash from the county. That makes it really good.
And then another note, if we need to transfer money within that budget, just say if our dumpster rental
Right.
picks up, we can transfer from that to help out with that as well. Personally, I think that's a little low of what we've got that in there, because we're getting a lot more calls since we met last time.
And that was the pilot program we started with that dumpster rental.
Yes.
I know Carl Kenneth was both on the meeting with me, and we wanted to start that as a pilot program to kind of see how that was going to work. And the reason we went to that was because that would cut down on the trips that Jamie would have to make out to these properties. You know, and so that would save time, be more efficient, and at the same time, you're going to get more cleaned up. Kenneth, Carl, I mean, any comments about that program?
I just need to be specific on the lines and the amounts that I'm gonna need to put in there, so. That 100,000 incorporates, 3150 all the way down through 548A. Is that correct?
Okay,
So you've got 10,000 for, well, it incorporates 315A through 548A, if I'm understanding this correctly. So you've got the litter abatement would be actually 35,000, 10,000 for the contract trash cleanup, 10,000 for the litter abatement, trash for cash, and then the remainder of that 100,000 goes back again into the contract cleanup. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, so that number, that line item won't be 100,000. It's just incorporated in all.
Right, correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's 35, 10, 10, and 45.
Okay.
Should equal 100.
So does there need to be any kind of motion for me to change those numbers?
Well, I mean, as long as the court doesn't want to amend.
It's the same dollar amount. It's
Yeah,
just
that is.
changing the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's just checks and balances.
okay.
Anything else? Master? Jamie, you have anything? Okay. Any other questions? Solid waste? Okay. Let's move on. Drug task force. Mr. Lafferty's here. Request for a new deputy. Page 8.
Ron, that, you all, for the city got that.
I got you.
That you all. How many do you have that? Three. I don't know if this is a place to bring this up, but I'm out of the you get us a month report on how many.
I've actually planned on doing that next fiscal quarter.
Ron, explain to the court how your grant works.
It's a 90-10. Federal government pays 90. The participating agencies pay 10. And most of them pay actually a little bit more to make up shortfalls for they cut quite a bit. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Just want to make sure that they know that you operate 90% off grant. It's, so when the agencies make up the others, so where the court knows about that.
We're still short from the city, aren't we? We may never get that. Employees.
We are still short, according to the chief. She's still committed to be in, and she said she's not going to replace 2 of them. She is going to replace 1 when the manpower gets back up. Her manpower, or I'm sorry, the city's manpower. We have seen quite a bit of an increase last year. I'll get to that this board meeting. We miss it.
Seems like a reasonable question.
As far as a monthly report, I can, but it's probably best to either do it quarterly or bi-quarterly or semi-annual.
Quarterly with me.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, building inspector, there was no changes at all in building inspector. Any questions I need to get to him? Break.
I watched it.
You take a break?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Yeah, we'll have to. We're gonna go with, we're gonna go with, Sheriff, are you leaving? It's all important too.
My bad. That's all right.
My bad. That's okay.
Learn something every day. Just leave it alone.
I'm gonna stick on them all.
Yeah, I'll yield to, Ritter wants to talk about any of these increases.
No, I don't.
I'm good with it.
Okay, any questions?
If I said more.
I guess that's the increase, you didn't. Some increase from you code.
Right.
Not there, like 30,000, that maybe last year, I know this year 30,000.
Thanks, I missed earlier, what do you start the seasonal employees at on grade?
If you're a first-year seasonal employee, you start at minimum wage. And then, each year thereafter, we give, now we do give raises. If we see an employee that's really stepping up and really moving forward, we will give them raises throughout the year. And then, but if not, then it's based on the second year you're there, you'll get a 25% pay, on the hour pay. The next year, every how many years you work. So if you work there 3 years, you wind up with at least a 75 cent per hour pay increase.
Big application.
We're a little full, but here's the thing, I'm getting a lot of turnover because a lot of these places are picking up, like I was just discussing earlier, that's gonna be paying $10, $11 an hour, and they do less. I mean, I know you think maybe the park, maybe you don't do as much, but some of these kids, I mean, you can come out there and watch the park, anybody's welcome to come out and see us. It's generally a line at the concession stands, and it's hard for us sometimes to figure out break times to get them switched in and out, to get them a break in the concession stands. Upstairs kind of works itself out because when the ball game's over, we give them a break, but then we don't have enough employees sometimes to give those breaks. So it's up to me sometimes to slide in there and get those breaks as well. So, but it's very busy. It's very dirty sometimes for the guys and girls that work the fields. We've got some really, really good employees. The two that help me out with the scheduling things, Mary, or I don't know if I'm supposed to mention names, but it's two girls that help me out. They do an excellent job. Can't complain about them at all. So I did up the pay on them just here the other day. So
I did notice that, in your increases, there was not any equipment. So you're not adding any new equipment.
we discussed those issues, those things. I don't know if it's in there or not. The only thing I had is my pads. I don't know if there was an increase for that equipment that we discussed or not.
No, I don't see it. One thing, I'm on that committee with Trent, and as we talk in that committee, he knows that, Chairman, me and Mark, and Billy's on the budget. He looks at us when we're, we gotta come together as a board eventually and look at some of the equipment. And we're gonna want the park and rec to maintain the level it's doing. We're got growing numbers. We're gonna have to find, Grant, you can correct me, there's a good 50,000 equipment that really needs to probably be really, really looked at hard. Not saying this budget, but am I right? When it's about 50,000.
I think we need 20,000 and field room equipment immediately.
Okay, so here's what I'd like for you to do. Within this budget, Master Riddle, I'd like to work with, Macy, within his budget and purchase that field room and equipment. We can move money within his budget. I think let's do it.
On the numbers that we were talking about the other night, maybe, I don't know if you.
Well, it was two separate items. There was one 20,000, 25,000, yeah, just about $50,000.
I mean, I just wanted the other court members that's not on that committee to know, are they wanting you to have decent equipment, or, we can be like the old farmer, if he was preparing and band-aiding and taking a lot of extra time for you to do your job, that you could be doing something else.
But it's like,
And that's just something to think about. We don't have it in the budget, but we probably need about $50,000 is what I see. In that budget coming up, you know. I just want the other masters to know, what do we want the park to be like there? We want good equipment, or we want.
So, Jeff, that's why I asked that question, because when I looked at the rec department, I didn't see any new equipment slated to be bought. So what are the two pieces that are needed?
We had discussed I was looking into, we got field machines out there. They're dated, they're wore out. One will put along and sometimes they'll start one day, the next day it may not. So I tried to look into some things that was kind of universal, so we could use it for more than just field work. You can purchase a pull behind, field, finisher, and things that pulls behind a UTV side by side. Then we can turn around and use that side by side for, taking garbage out, picking up, the elderly, and bringing them down. Of course, we have a golf cart, but that golf cart it's getting some age on it. It's getting some wear and tear. Sometimes it starts, I've had fixed wires that's got old, it's got broken in the last little bit. You know, right now it's fine. I mean, I don't care to do those adjustments, those things on it, but we do need a field, something to work those fields up each and every day. And once that machine goes down, we're down to one. And it's hard to take care of all that. Just the one that's kind of loaned out to us from the schools and programs. It's not actually even ours, I believe. I think it is actually Temple Hills district that whenever they had the Babe Ruth leagues, I think that's where it's at. It's just, we just kind of inherited it. So that could possibly go any day if somebody said, hey, we need that.
Hey,
We only had 20,000 in there last year, we spent 11 of it up to date, and we got 20,000 this year. We just have to work within the budget, see if we can get buy what has to be bought. That's the only thing I want to do, you know. But I will go ahead and say this, and you know, our park is busting at the seams, and the court's gonna have to make a decision. I'm not gonna beg, I'm not gonna plead for money. You guys are going to make a decision. You need to go out there every now and then. Just drive around the parking lot during game time and figure out where this next generation is going to play it. The park is busting at the seams. There's not enough room to park. People are parking on the side of the road.
Oh, we can't take a football field and make two more
Well,
balls.
I mean, every time you go out there, somebody's using it for something. Really, I mean, the fact is, we just don't have as much park as we need. We need to expand our park, or you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to have something. That's what it's going to come to.
Anyways, all I can do is keep what I do is I keep Red Cross Elementary School's baseball fields for practice. I keep up North Jackson the best of my ability. I'm not saying that they're great, but no means, because they are not. Because it takes all I can do to do what I'm doing. Jackson's, Easterns, Red Crosses, and we're at 619 kids. We got 350 games to play. Well, until the second week of June. Then it all starts. Travel ball, or not travel ball, but all-star ball through Babe Ruth. We're pulling in the tournament. 350 games in this year, and we're running all day long. So
That's good.
if there's no more room to extend out on day, to add
24 hours.
yeah, well, first buy into that, but to extend out, if it wasn't for the school system allowing us to use those practice fields, we'd be in worse shape than we are now, because if it wasn't for that, they have nowhere to practice, because we're playing every day on those fields.
We was in play all weekend, and we was in Franklin, Tennessee. Sports. It's just mind-boggling.
It is.
It's just, parks there in Brentwood and Franklin, it's just amazing. That's what it is.
You know, and I know a lot of people may say, well, you got a lot of people because of COVID coming out to play. Well, last year we had 600 kids. So we actually, before COVID, before COVID ever hit,
And then we jumped to 619. And probably if it was possible to add more people, I probably could have added another 50 kids, 60 kids throughout the season. But I didn't have room. I just don't have it. So I can't add it to it. Your park is growing. So
If you had $1 million,
that's true.
to buy land and build another park, to extend on the park, so, we just have to work with what we got here, I'm good with it.
Since all the masters heard this, I'm gonna make a motion 20 to up it to 30. And that's my motion.
On the line item,
14-5401-7390, Recreation Department equipment from 20,000 to 30 is my motion to up that $10,000.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second, but now my budget's showing 30,000 already.
Mine's showing 20.
That's what
The renewals and repairs are showing 30.
Recreation Department equipment.
What they tell them? 7390.
5401.
Right above lighting.
Okay. So we have a motion to 30,000. Questions? Roll call vote.
Square Sarton,
Yes.
Square Hatcham,
Yes.
Square Boggs,
Yes.
Square Riddle.
Yes.
Square Dickerson.
Yes.
Square Kramer. Square Bowman,
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes. Any other requests?
I have some line items that. The social security and, no, not the retirement amount, in the rec department, keystroke error, that says 22,000, that needs to be 11,000.
We got said we're gonna work in the budget, just us.
I'm sorry.
Anything else you need clarification on?
I think that's it.
Okay, so. Oh, okay. I can't find it on mine. No wonder. Yeah, I got it. We need a motion.
Should be 11.
We need a motion to change that.
Motion. Second.
Motion, second, and roll call vote.
Square Hatcham,
Yes.
Square Boggs,
Yes.
Square Riddle.
Yes.
Square Dickerson.
Yes.
Square Bowman,
Yes.
Square Sarton.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes. So I want to point out to you, Rec Department Committee, for the second time, if you look at renewals and repairs, he has $30,000 budgeted in there. He's only spent $9,800. If you will get with him, get a piece of equipment out of this budget, and go ahead and get that piece of equipment bought. That would be great. Any other questions for Max? Max, thank you. Okay, yes, go ahead. Tell us which page.
Okay, page 10. The victim's advocate line item. We don't have that number whenever we did this budget, so it needs to be changed to $40,067.
Motion change.
67.
$40,067.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
A second. Roll call vote.
Square Boggs,
Yes.
Square Riddle.
Yes.
Square Dickerson.
Yes.
Square Kramer. Square Bowman,
Yes.
Square Sarton.
Yes.
Square Hatcham.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes.
And
Next,
then just one more, if you go down on that page to the lease payments for the sheriff's copier. They just signed a new lease. 100 to 3,300.
Motion.
motion, Mr. Bowman. Second. Mr. Botts, questions? We'll call
Squire Riddle,
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sargent.
Yes.
Squire Houchins.
Yes.
Squire Watts.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes, thank you. Anything else? Okay,
Um,
great. Okay, we have the jail. Seen the proposed. That'll be page 14. That will continue on.
14 and 15.
Okay, questions? Any questions for Jay? Jay, have anything?
Basically, the increase in your budget are salaries to your deputies and all the goodies that go with it, including the health, retirement, social security, work comp, that correct? That's a big item.
There was a small one for communication equipment for a repeater besides that.
You have reached out to me and we talked about a couple of things. There was a $75,000 reimbursement for rear advantage treatment that you said was not in the budget.
Yeah, I spoke with the treasurer on line item 03-4727. Says reimbursement refunds.
So
Last,
the revenue,
yes, on the revenue.
Revenue.
On the revenue page.
Pages and June.
I'm looking for it. Page 5.
Okay.
Should be about the sixth one up from the total line there. Last year, of course, that's the money we get from our state highway department. And last year, they didn't go out, crews didn't go out for that. And even when we were in discussions, we were still kind of not sure. But now that those crews are going to be going back out, we'd like to put $75,000 in that line.
That's money that the state's gonna pay us, right?
That's correct, sir.
So where's reimbursement back to the jail?
Yes, sir.
So that, you can.
Yes, I have.
The way I see this, you've got a $3 million budget. And the way I see the revenue, you're showing 2.810 revenue. That, are there any transfers in, transferred in from other funds, page 36, that were transferred in this year?
You're gonna find it
I'm
out.
looking at the revenue.
Yeah, so, there we go.
And then next year, you're saying we're gonna have to transfer in 692. Transfer out is the bond payment, is that correct?
Correct.
491.
Correct.
So we're talking about $200,000. County besides the 775, 975 to run the jail for the county. Basically. I look at this line item 54557,000 on the revenue side. Prior year, you budgeted 950, and understand COVID. Collected 472. That's current, not in. 034557.
Page 5.
Page 5. So you're just telling us that you're projecting that you're just gonna have 40,000, 43,000. At 950 last year, you're projecting it's gonna be a 400,000 drop, budgeted drop from last year. I know we had the COVID last year.
Yes.
So do you see this rebounding even close to that 950 for the spot next year?
I'm really not sure. When you look at that line item, and if you go up, 4 line items to where
I see that.
it says controlled intakes, those are our state inmates. And what happens is, once somebody becomes a state inmate, they're actually considered a controlled intake at that time. And Department of Corrections has to classify them. And that, once they're classified, that's when they become the Class D felon payments, as it says on that line. But Department of Corrections, all of last year, they did not do any classifications. None of our state inmates are controlled inmates, are all prisons classified and sent back. They have started again, very slowly. And that was coming from our jail inspector whenever we asked her. It has started, it is very slow. We have had some already sent off, declassified.
And I look at the inter-county jail contracts, that was budgeted last year 450, and the prior year received for 220. Is that 368, we recover back to the, you recover back to the 450 level, or is it going to remain at 368? Or 220?
I'm really not sure, but those inter-county contracts, right there, this one's in Metcalf and Monroe County.
Yeah.
And depending on how many they arrest is what it comes down to. Right now, this morning when I looked, Metcalf County had 10 inmates per 5. So it all depends on before COVID, Metcalf usually had about 25, Monroe County had about 50. So the numbers are on the rise, unfortunately.
Let's get this straight, so that, I want the citizens to understand what's going on. We're paying $775 to keep county prisoners that we've never done before. That's correct, but is that correct?
Yes.
That you're gonna have a $200,000 deficit from your revenue and your expenses, 311 to 200, or 3,011,000 to 2,810,000. Basically, the jail costs Barren County $1 million. Are you good with that? Are you good with that?
That's an accurate number.
It's an accurate number. Okay. So how many county prisoners we keep there? What's the average county?
This morning we had 80.
80.
Yes, and that number's also been rising. Last week this time we were at a total of about 220 inmates. This morning we're at 240.
So you're comfortable you can stay in these numbers?
Yes.
With or without the 75,000?
We need 75,000. 75,000. Whenever I looked at the second line item, 5101, 1030, the deputy salaries. There in that line item there was no overtime or holiday pay put in there. And I was like, that 75,000 coming from the road department to possibly go to that line item, unfortunately, because there's absolutely no overtime and no holiday pay. Of course, jail, we don't shut down for the holiday. We still have deputies, have to work day and night.
I wouldn't comment now, Carl, you said, even though I don't want the citizens, I want them to understand, because I've been on Zoom meetings, that this jail issue is not just a Barren County issue, it's statewide. It's all across the state. There's a lot of counties that's done away with their jail. Got friends at Somerset, their jails, it's just a loss. It's just a loss in all situations. So I don't want it to be a reflect on you as far as 100% you that they're thinking $1 million and then giving a big red flag. It's all over the state. I want to make that clear, but I know that's just making that clear.
That wasn't our intention. It just costs money to put people, to incarcerate people and feed them and clothe them and bathe them and take them to the hospital and all that. It just takes a lot of money to do that.
Right.
It's not a money matter. There's never going to be a money matter. It's not going to happen.
Not gonna make it.
So I'll make a motion that we amend line item 03-4727-000, and we add $75,000 to that line item, reimbursements for the state inmates.
For trash pickup.
Yeah, that's for the road crews.
Yeah, that would be county inmates.
That'd be the state inmates going out with the state highway department. We have 2 deputies on 2 different crews that go out with 2 road crews to go out for the state highway department. So we send out anywhere between 4 to 5 inmates with, and one of those 2 crews, and they go out to the state highway department, and tell them we're looking, picking trash on that, on state roads.
Mark, this is gonna be a question for you and Jenny. I'm hearing Jenny saying that she had one app. I'm just talking, what if we don't get anybody on the, your end on solid waste and some of that grant, and doesn't, is it possible, and this is a question, Judge, make sure if that money's sitting there and we don't get anybody, the jail, to get them to do it.
So I'd like to clarify, because there's 2 different conversations that really on the jail. This 75,000, which is state and state reimbursement. I think you said something about you'd like to put part of the 75,000 in a line item for the salaries. So, I don't know, and this is just to pick up for state roads only. But we're focused on picking up county roads.
I'm sorry. That's state.
Yeah, we're focused on picking up.
So that
roads. Right. So I want to distinguish between the 2, state and county.
Okay.
Okay. The what's in solid waste is to pick up county roads. Now currently, the deputies that's going out with the county are being paid out of commissary, or when they go out.
Okay.
Okay. It comes out of commissary. So, I just want to make clear of which roads are being picked up here. You know, don't think it's, your county roads are fixing to be picked up when we add this 75,000 to it.
So it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, that. And I wanted.
And I appreciate that too. There were, if we add this 75,000, the state roads will be picked. But I heard you say you need 75,000 to go to your line items for the deputies, so I'm confused. Am I missing something, rest you
The
guys?
way what I understood you to say was, if you don't have that 75,000, you're gonna have to take 75,000 and pick up the state roads from somewhere else.
No. Can we take a step back?
No.
All right. Line item, we didn't have anything added into it. Okay, because we didn't know if the state highway department was gonna start doing and allow us to go, back up. Department of Corrections, we had to, for Department of Corrections, I had to come up with a plan, submit it to them, the health department, labor and whatnot. So inmates can go out and work picking up trash or whatever. So we started having our county crews go out, the ones that are mowing and picking up trash. We had those 2 crews go out. Well, the state highway department here recently said, we're gonna start doing that again, because when COVID hit, they shut down. We always had, for a long time, those contracts. Well, now they're ready to begin again. We didn't have anything in that line item because we didn't know when we were in discussion if they were gonna begin or not. Well, now, so right now, currently, as we speak, we do have 1 deputy out there with the state highway department. And they're picking up trash. Recently, I know they picked up 90 from Cave City to Glasgow. So we already do have 1 out, and we're getting ready to get the second crew out. We're just getting the inmates, the state inmates that are classified to be able to work.
I have a friend who's a magistrate on Emerson County Fiscal Court. They don't have a jail,
Yes, sir.
and they're trying to hire the trash picked up for $10 an hour. They're not having to look at it. And they've got trash everywhere. So we need to be thankful we've got your boys out there that can help us out.
Our 31 looks better, but it's still, I just, stay away from it, right? It's tons of money in our community. I just, we gotta get better.
Yeah. And when it comes to the state highway department, the supervisors out there, they're the ones that let us know where we'll be going to. You know, we don't really control, we're gonna pick up these state roads today or those state roads, they let us know.
So moving forward, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to distinguish between, what's being picked up where, that way we're not asked, how do I say this? Well, the money between this and the commissary, you know, to make sure that we're not double paying back to the jail or,
Oh, yes.
so, which to me could happen here. So, yeah, I guess the next question, oh, never mind, go ahead. Any other questions on the motion that's on the floor? Roll call vote.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Hammer. Squire Bowman.
Yes.
Squire Sarton.
Yes.
Squire Houchins.
Yes.
Squire Mott.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Judge Hare.
Yes. Okay, any other questions as it relates? So, on the commissary, you told us that you're outsourcing some of the commissary revenue with the company.
Yes.
And so I guess one thing I want to make sure that we're going to have plenty of money there when they do go out, that if there is a shortfall, you know, obviously we have to cover the shortfalls, the fiscal court would. So is it still 55%?
Yes, it is. And looking at the projections right now, and our biggest two money makers are the e-cigarettes and the phone cards, the phone cards. We kept those in-house. That company has nothing to do with that. We do all that in-house ourselves still. We'll take those orders and go out with those. And that's where the majority of the revenue comes from the commissary. So that's still in-house, and just looking at projections and whatnot, we're right on track to stay right where we have been.
That's one of my main questions that I have, because we're outsourcing 55% of it. I just want to make sure there's going to be money to cover that. And we also, not on them, we also take some of two other folks' salary reimbursement also. And I'm hoping there'll still be money there for that too.
I wanted, you know, like I told you, we were around the table, when we were all together. Still, in a business standpoint, I wouldn't want to give that percentage up. I know I beat that horse to death, but when you're in a situation, you know, all the jails and all the county, I mean, I would want every line item that I could make money and not have to give it to somebody else. Me personally, that's what I'm gonna do. Still encouraging you to look at that hard. I know you're saying a cigarette, but, you know, I wouldn't give percentage with my business, but that's me. You know, you're running the jail, I'm not running the jail.
Well, you go back to there again, shortage of help, as we already said, like that shooting cases. And there's other things you have to factor in there with these guys. One is, you've got local, to me, you got local people going out and doing the shopping. You can't put the best deputies out there. You gotta send like dollar store or wherever to get this stuff. You're gonna put probably your lowest paid people out there to make one of these areas to do the bags. I think you have a whole lot higher chance of those bags becoming contaminated with something that's not supposed to be in there. Because you got the lowest paid person who's familiar with people in the jail, and hey, that's not gonna happen with the company that you're with. They have no ties to anybody. So, and if you had abundance of manpower at $10 an hour, it would be a difference as supposed to do.
Just make it work always. That's me.
So, I see your point. I understand. Totally. Right. You don't want to do with what you got.
So, I know we're the elephant in the room here. So the one thing with this budget, on the operation side of it, I understand, at 75,000, the state's gonna pay us, we need it. They're gonna send it somewhere else. The one thing that I want us to watch, and this has been the problem, and that is the salaries. Because we projected out what each pay period is gonna be down to the penny. And we start going over that. And I know you had overtime. It's hard to project overtime. But, you know, if you're making people's salary, should help with your overtime. But that's where a lot of the overspending is in the salary line items. And I think with working with the current bookkeeper now, I hope she understands that when you're working 200 hours overtime a month, and someone leaves making $12 an hour, the overtime's absorbing that $12 an hour, and that $12 an hour is no longer there. I mean, that's just common sense. So that's the one line item that we have to watch. I know in my conversations with the sheriff, if it gets close, hey, overtime's over with, stops. And salary people's got to step up. So, and I say that because all the shortfall from all the departments comes back to us. And it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. So that's.
Got to say too, with the job force like it is, and I understand, I'm not trying to be a-hole here, but the way the market is right now, salary people don't have to step up, they can step out. You know, I mean, it is, it's the reality of things. They don't have to, they can say, I'm not working 20 more hours for less money. See you later, I'm going back out the street. So it's all back to that same circle that we started this whole conversation.
And we also need to bring up, I met the other day, and in the budget that you guys have in front of you, whenever the salaries were calculated, the people that they wanted to increase, not really increase, but to change from hourly to salary, was not done in this budget. So I think we need to talk about that if we're talking about moving people to salary. We need to talk about getting those people into salary instead of hourly.
Because that number will change.
That number will change, yes. I mean, not drastically, but somewhat.
Also, I want to.
Great.
So how do we need to go about doing that to get that incorporated in here?
Well, we're going to need to know that number of salaries and as it pertains to hourly cost.
I mean, to me, it just seemed like they play out for a month or two, you see how it's stepped up. I'm looking at your figure there, you're talking about $10,000 to $10,000.
Yes, one.
Take that a minute. Talk about salary with them all the time, $50,000, something like that. You be able to do that?
Yes, and it's really, overtime.
Okay, so I think he's saying one thing, you're saying
I'm
something
sorry.
else. So you're saying you want to increase them, but move them to salary. He's saying leave them as is for now.
I'm saying move the salary.
Oh, you
Don't make
Just
a
leave them
decision
where it is.
today.
Just don't change the line item on the budget yet. It's going to play out. If it's 15,000 higher, we'll know where.
You're saying changing the salary, but leave them at the amount that they're at right now.
Yeah. Because the other minute tells us he's going to make it up, decrease overtime, is that correct? It's what you tell us.
So then we won't be moving them to the figures that you gave me. That's what we're saying.
We won't be moving.
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
So,
These are the figures
but we
he's
were
wanting them to be.
just slightly, I don't have the figures, Jenny, I know we talked about, but they're going to be broken down.
Them figures are based if we approve the increases on the seven.
These are, yes,
Just hoping that that gets worked.
yes.
So what's the action on this? You leave it like it is?
They are saying to make them salary, but leave them at the figures that they are. They're not
Leave the budget back.
leave the budget amount how it is, but change them to salary.
You can't micromanage his people. You guys stay within the salary, you just told us you would. If he doesn't, then we'll bring it up with him. You understand that?
Yes, I do, and that's like what me and Jenny, we spoke about moving them up, and that's why, I said, we didn't have any money in overtime or anything like that, kind of, that money and those being on salary to balance it out.
So, okay, it's clear, everybody, before we leave, make sure. Your new budget amount, salary is $1,005,000. That's correct.
Yes.
So you're gonna keep in that budget figure the next fiscal year.
Yes. That right there, it has no overtime or anything in it, so let me rephrase it, no, I will not be. That line item right there is, Jenny has the breakdown of each deputy, every employee at Barren County Detention Center, and that number comes just shy of that, like 1,004,000 and some change.
What you paid them last year?
That-
What you're gonna pay them, what you're budgeted this year?
No, we budgeted this year for 966,000.
I mean, that's, so the new budget is $1,005,000.
Yes.
So you're telling us
And
that's
that's-
gonna pay your payroll for a year.
And that's with, I guess, the increase of salary if it gets approved, the $15. Because that right there, that number of $1,005,000 has zero overtime in it or holiday pay. So, no, I will not be.
Do you know how much you spent
Did
on
that
that?
answer? Squire?
Yeah, just tell me you're not gonna be able to, I mean, $1,005,000 is gonna cover payroll expense, the way I see it.
That just has it at straight time with no holiday pay or overtime pay at all. And that's why, when I said that $75,000 that we didn't have in the reimbursements, is some of that can be moved over to that line item.
So, bottom line here is $3,011,000. You're gonna be able to stay within that budget for this next fiscal year. Is that correct? Your bottom line here is $3,011,000.
With, and we,
With 75,000 we just gave, we just voted.
Yeah, we did. Barry, we just get that.
Yes.
Or $3,100,000, you're not gonna spend any more money than that unless we have a COVID or some kind of.
no, I just need to, yes, I need to know where that $75,000 is gonna go to on this side of it.
Really, it doesn't matter if it gets put in that. I mean, if you go over, you can take from another line on your budget.
Plus,
Put it there,
plus
so.
that 75,000 is going to pick up trash. So that should go to the deputies to pick up trash. Correct?
Or
It's a
they're,
reimbursement.
but it's a reimbursement, those deputies, their salaries are put into that.
So what I'm saying is, we don't have to amend it into that. We can move money if.
I'm assuming we do that in other departments, if we do use other line items. I'm assuming, that. I've seen it done before. If it's in their budget, they can move line items. And then you work on that one line item to make it work.
That's the norm.
So, Brandon, I need to.
He's answered your question.
Yeah, as long as you say that, but that's all.
I think to be clear, Carl was, now your new budget number is approximately $3.1 million. The question is, you're going to stay within that $3.1 million. period.
Yes,
And that will include overtime and everything else.
yes.
Good, my question.
I think that answers all.
What are your budget? What are, stay with us. That's it.
Sure.
I'll check that out. Yeah, okay.
Everyone clear on this?
And just,
The only thing I have, if, you know, you answered Carl's question, you answered Mark, so anytime during the next year, you know, if there's any kind of problem, I don't want it just to be you or the judge's problem, it'll be the whole court's problem. I don't want it to be a personal deal that maybe it seems like it is now, let's let it be the whole court. So when there's a problem, Jenny, bring it to the whole court, and we'll talk about it, because that's what we're doing today. It don't need to be one-on-one, it needs to be the whole court, and I think everything will get a little bit better. And then it's not one person, the bad guy, or being the villain, it's the whole court. It's the only thing I'd ask this coming year.
that's including debt service. Yes.
No, it's,
Yeah, go ahead.
Jail. In your revenue, page 2, for the AOC rental receipts, we just got that number from them. It was 203,000, it's now going to be 196,590. That number will have to change. Page 2 of your revenue.
what's the reason?
That's the number they give us, we have to go by that number. I don't know.
What is the, what's the line item?
The AOC rental receipts. 45. Right here.
45.
The 203,
Yeah,
think it will be what, ma'am?
196,590.
Make a motion, man. We move that to 196,590.
Same motion?
Second.
Second. Y'all know what the motion
I'm trying to find out.
is? It's on page 2. Page 2. The line item 4532. Going from 203 to 196,590.
What you said number was, count number?
4532. 014532.
As you brought that up, I've got a question. Prior year budget, 203,000, prior year receipts, 151,867. So they received pay us $52,000. Is that a good number? Or is that not- not done? All right. How about you?
Oh, we did. Have you found it yet?
No,
Measure
yeah.
phone? They hadn't found it down here yet.
No, I'm sorry.
It'll be on your revenue.
We're going to do
Your revenue is the one with the green tab on.
If y'all just hold on just a second.
Oh, AOC room, I've got 203,
Okay,
4532.
okay. So we have a motion to change that to 196,590. And we have a second. Okay, look.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sarton,
Yes.
Squire Houchin.
Yes.
Squire Bott.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes, what's your other change?
Just one more, on page 7 of your revenue for the LGEA fund on the mineral severance tax. Last year's was 110,000. This one needs to be 79,000.
I move we change that to 79,000.
Second. Have a motion, have a second. Questions? Call vote.
Squire Sarton.
Yes.
Squire Houchin.
Yes.
Squire Bott.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Bowman.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, I think we're ready for contributions. Or let's start on page 10, appropriations. Let's start on page 9. And we'll start with 015301. 3480, that'll be the first contribution. Oh, no, let's back up. It'll be 015231 5070. Start with the health department, work your way down. Got it. Questions?
It kind of is what it is, it's not good.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's any changes you all want to make on it.
I mean, it's,
Something you didn't want to pay for, do want to pay for.
Well, the largest increase was the health department, correct?
Correct. That's great. And once we get that quote, I had talked to the director of the health department that we can take out of this contribution for the roof for the health department. They're great that you would work with us on that. You know, that's going to be an expenditure we're going to have, so. So other than that, if you all are okay with it,
Good to me.
we'll move on. Because they won't be putting in their budget. Okay, anything else as it relates to the budget?
Page 9, you'll go to page 10 as well. You want to move forward?
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay. Line item 5435 no, I'm sorry. 5435 4460 on page 10. Island Game supplies material $2,000. I know it's not a lot of money, but we don't do the Island Games, I don't think anymore, and I'd like to make a motion, we take it out of it.
I'll second that.
Motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Squire Houchins.
Yes.
Squire Watts.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Bowman.
Yes.
Squire Sargent.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you. Anything else?
I just on the Barren County Library Board, that went down. There was a decrease on that from 702 to 642.
Yes.
60,000.
Yes. They can control their tax.
Okay.
The board can. And I know they paid a lot of their debt off. So there's really no reason to collect that much money.
Really not what they do about that, though.
No, it's not.
Can't do anything about it.
I mean, we do, you guys do approve people that goes on that board. I do have good conversations with them. So I do know that they were sitting on a lot of cash. They were asked to pay a lot of that debt off, and they did, so they don't need to generate this much money, is what they did.
You want those folks.
And you all approve?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, anything else? Okay, so we have, sure, you correct me if I'm wrong, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 amendments. I just have the, I don't have the changes as far as, the AOC change, the copiers, I just have the. Okay, so. Okay, now motions. Nine amendments and total, that includes the changes, right? Okay, so what we're voting on is this budget with all amendments and changes. We're voting on the budget as a whole with the amendments included. That's what we're voting. First reading. This first reading. So I'll entertain a motion to.
I make a motion.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Motion is on the, is there any more questions before we wrap this up?
So I have one question.
Yeah.
Back to the raises. This budget does include that what we're saying is all employees will start out at $15 an hour.
Yes.
And all people making below $15 an hour will go to 15, and the ones making above 15 will get a 3% raise.
That's how we have it structured.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Squire Box,
Yes.
Squire Riddle,
Yes.
Squire Dickerson,
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sargent,
Yes.
Squire Houston,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Okay. One more item. This is sort of a lengthy one. And this is standard. We do this each year to approve the annual standing order to pre-approve certain reoccurring expenses for the 21-22 fiscal year. This is the annual thing that we do. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Bill?
Second?
Mr. Fox, questions? Roll call.
Squire Riddle,
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sargent,
Yes.
Squire Houston.
Yes.
Squire Box.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes, thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second motion.
Second by Hutchins. You are adjourned. Thank you.